Hello friends, and welcome to St Mary's Roman Catholic Church in central Manchester. We're just having a look at the entranceway here. Ave Maria, cleaning is in progress. So as ever, let's start with the outside, and this is a really magnificent example of 18th, 19th century brick-built churches. The church bricks are laid in Flemish bond, pointed in lime mortar, and I'll talk you through some of that brickwork later. And you've got this incredibly striking carved stone archway leading in, very, very decorative Romanesque arch with a lovely Latin inscription, which I would ask one of you to translate for me. Pop it down in the comments below. So let's turn now and have a look at the brickwork and some of the external features of this church. You'll see the bricks laid in the traditional Flemish bond pattern. That's a stretcher, the long brick, and a header, the short brick. That's a solid wall construction, and you'll see it's pointed here in this lime mortar that's been darkened by the addition of ash, which would act as a pozzolan in this case, to cause the mortar to harden more quickly and allow the bricklaying to proceed at a faster pace. And there's something quite muscular and powerful about these brick-built churches. Having a look here, we've got some 19th and 20th century renovations on this side of the church, and you'll see here a more traditional lime mortar has been used, the very light white mortar, indicating that not much was added to this. Far more modern, well-graded aggregate has been used and has given what we'd call a more traditional conservation joint here. The mortar's been pointed in and then beaten back with a churn brush to give it this lovely appearance. And then just stepping back and looking to the right here, you'll see, unfortunately, we've had some even more modern repairs where someone has used some cement, believe it or not, in the repair of this church. So they've lost a point there with me, unfortunately. Now, it's worth just having a little look at the tower on this church, because it's absolutely magnificent, and it's what we call a Rhinehelm tower design. Traditional Romanesque tower, often found in the Rhine, which gives its name, and the fact that it does look like almost like a warrior's helmet there. Quite unusual in the Manchester area to see a church with this sort of design, quite unusual in England, frankly, particularly in the north of England, so really nice. So let's step inside and have a look at some of the more interesting internal features. And to the left there, you'll see the Stations of the Cross. We're going to come back to those. Just let's have a look first at the high altar, carved in the 19th century, commissioned by the local bishop at the time. Absolutely magnificent high altar, Jesus and some of the saints there. Really impactful as the first thing you see when you walk through the door. But the thing that struck me most inside this church is the Stations of the Cross. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's the 14 paintings that you'll traditionally find in a Catholic church depicting the Passion and the crucifixion of Jesus. And these were commissioned by Norman Adams, who's a famous British artist, and they're like nothing I've ever seen. Catholic painting, Catholic architecture is often very safe, a bit twee, salon-style oil paintings. What you've got here is one of the most visceral sets of the Passions I've ever seen. It gives a real indication of the pain in the story, the terror, the blood that would have come with this. And you'll see here Jesus being nailed to the cross is just one of the most viscerally unpleasant images, as it should be. You know, there's no heroics here. There's just a man dying in one of the most painful ways imaginable. They're absolutely magnificent. I think the only criticism of this, they're so big that they're all a bit too close together, which can take you away some of the impact. So what you'll see here is we're just leading up to the last one. On the right there is Jesus being laid in the tomb, and the idea of the Stations is over the Easter period Catholics will follow the 14 of them around the church with prayers to each one. And you'll see Jesus being laid in the tomb here on the right as the last one, and there's just this blue colour coming in as a sort of sense of hope even. And just to the right of this then you lead to the altar, which depicts Jesus having died and being laid in the tomb, and of course that leads you back now into the nave and looking up into this magnificent ceiling, which has a surprise in the form of a Romanesque stained glass dome. Just absolutely fantastic feature. And then of course back to the high altar. So certainly one of the most interesting Catholic churches I've been into. The paintings alone, but the architecture is fantastic. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.